All right, if you've been playing Dungeons and Dragons or other tabletop role-playing games like Starfinder for really any length of time, you've probably heard the term Murder-Hobo, right? It's that player that just wants to kill every goblin and every orc and sometimes NPCs that they come across. And in essence, they have this overly aggressive playstyle. But before we can ask ourselves if we are murder hobos, and yes, some of us are murder hobos at heart, or even how dungeon masters can stop players from being murder hobos at the table, we need first to understand what causes it, right? So today, I'm going to talk about 7 reasons why players become murder hobos. And before I forget, this might be one of those videos that you'll want to share with a friend or two. So I hope you guys are ready. Let's get started. Welcome, adventurers. What's going on, guys? My name is Cody. This is Taking 20, a channel about all things role-playing games. And today, of course, we are talking about murder hobos in our games. But most importantly, why they exist and what you might be doing as a dungeon master to actually promote this type of play style unknowingly. So we're gonna jump into the list here in just a moment, but first I want to give a huge shout out to my sponsor for this video, Elderwood Academy. The crew over at Elderwood Academy is ridiculously talented, and they make some downright amazing gaming accessories, which by the way are all highly customizable. But right now they have a special Kickstarter going where they've actually teamed up with Knorr's Foundry for their new mini hex chest and dice set, right? This is a special just for the Kickstarter backers, and for a limited time you can grab both a mini hex chest plus a complete set of metal dice for just $40 right now, which if you've ever shopped around for those things before, you'll know is an insanely low price and something that you won't want to miss out on. So I'm gonna put a special link for the Kickstarter down in the description below that will take you right to the Kickstarter. That way you can snag that special. And of course, it'll let Elderwood know that I sent you over, which I would appreciate. Also, stay tuned to the end of the video to find out how you can win your very own mini hex chest set from Elderwood Academy, shipped to you anywhere in the world. Okay, guys, here are the 7 biggest reasons why your players are murder hobos. Number 1, lack of rewards for social encounters and creative problem solving. Ask yourself this: do you actually let your players solve their problems creatively or even socially? Are you creating the right type of environment for them to come up with solutions that don't involve just sticking them with the pointy end? And most importantly, are you actually rewarding them for finding a different solution? This goes for XP and other stuff as well. You should consider how much effort they have to go through to come up with an alternative solution as well, right? If it's fast and easy to just attack the problem with a sword, and it's slow and tedious to try and convince a bugbear trying to collect a toll to let them pass, odds are your players, they're gonna go for the pew-pew solution every time, right? I really just wanted to say that in a video. Number 2, all your NPCs are total dicks. Let's face it, right? We've all had the NPC or two treat the party like a bunch of diseased leper commoners who just showed up to dinner unannounced. But when your players start to have NPC after NPC talk down to them and treat them hostile, your players are gonna get fed up and start to go all stabby on everyone. And a great study of this is Harry Potter. In the first few books, you really only have a small handful of characters that treat Harry really badly, right? They got the Dursleys, you got Snape, and then the Malfoys. When Harry finally gets to Hogwarts, though, he pretty much stays in line even when Snape treats him like crap because, well, Snape is really the only one, being counterbalanced by McGonagall, Dumbledore, Hagrid, etc., etc., etc. But our boy Harry almost throws everything away during the 3rd book when he's back at home with the Dursleys, because all the people in his life at that moment were being total dicks to him. He was like, fine, I don't care anymore. I'll get expelled. I give up. And in essence, for him anyways, he kind of went full murder hobo for a brief moment. So ask yourself, just how many of your NPCs are absolute dicks? Number 3, your players are not invested in the world. Now, this is a tough one, but in essence, they don't really care what happens in the game. This is sort of like having superhero complex, that the only thing of importance in the world is them. The story revolves around them. And this can be really tough to determine what you might be doing to encourage this type of thinking. But one thing to consider is how flat your world seems to be, right? Are you having additional events go on in the background that don't involve the players at all, that have nothing to do with the story? Is there a war between two houses that is escalating along the countryside that doesn't really pertain to your players and their story arc and goals, but might be affecting, the world around them? Do locations and NPCs stand still in time, waiting for your players to return? Or do they age, change, die, get overrun, and burn down? If your players feel like the entire world revolves just around them, they will be less hesitant to talk back to guards and nobles and literally attack things in their way. And speaking of talking back to nobles, this brings us to number 4, which is your players don't feel like there are any consequences for their actions. This is probably the most common reason leading to the affliction of murder-hoboism. And that is that they don't think that anything they say or do will have meaningful consequences. And this is a tough one because we as Dungeon Masters typically, anyways, don't want to spend our time out of our awesome story that we have going on to punish players for talking back to nobility, right? That's lame. Unless you're really into 50 Shades of Grey. Totally not judging. But figure out what kinds of rules and punishments there might be for being a smartass to nobles, and what type of consequences there might be if your players shoot first, attack second, and ask questions never to the strangers that they meet out on the road, and stick with them. And also, don't forget to show, don't tell. It might set the tone very quickly for a meeting with the local baron if, as your players are walking into the court, they see a man having his tongue cut out for talking back, or even just drug off to the dungeons for a fortnight if the baron is the more, understanding and gentler type. Number 5, your players don't feel like they have enough choice. And this is usually, typically anyways, our fault as Dungeon Masters, and we all do it from time to time. Hell, a great example of this is our most recent season of Saver Dice, ran by the brilliant Will Jones. And of course, if you don't know what Saver Dice is, it's a Dungeons & Dragons 5e live play game with myself, Dave with Nerdarchy, Jim Davis and Jonathan Pruitt with WebDM, and Will Jones from Encounter Roleplay. You can catch us every Wednesday right here on YouTube at youtube.com/SaverDice, and I will be running the upcoming season. But for season 2, we ran into this problem big time. The game started out and we were prisoners about to be executed for our failed rebellion. Then we were rescued, but only because we, in essence, became indentured and threatened by our rescuers, only to be sent off to fight some vampires who in turn indentured and threatened us, only to flee and get caught up with a mobster who, you guessed it, wanted to indenture and threaten us. All the while, by the way, being the absolute 4 most wanted characters in the entirety of the game setting. So everywhere we could possibly go, we had a high chance of being recognized and tracked down by one of the 4 parties who wanted to kill us. Needless to say, we didn't feel like we had a lot of great choices. And so as a group of 4 YouTube content creators who make videos about playing Dungeons & Dragons with well over 90 plus collective years of gaming experience, we were like, screw it. Let's just kill everyone. And we totally did. The sixth most common reason for players being murder hobos is that they don't realize it. This might seem like the easiest of the bunch to kind of figure out and deal with, but it's actually one of the harder ones in my opinion. Typically, you either have the newer and less experienced player who may not have a good grasp on the game and your particular group's playstyle, or you have the experienced player who thinks that they are just role-playing out their character. But the issue here is in the nuance of handling a problem like this. There are a plethora of videos out on trying to approach your players in a way that won't hurt their feelings, but I always recommend, as most do, in just talking to your players about it. And finally, number 7, your players are just dicks, and there's not much you can do to change their behavior. They're going to continue to threaten NPCs and kill every orc in your campaign, and no tiny 2 letters written down for their alignment is going to help. I want to give a huge shout out to all of the kick-ass patrons over at welcomeadventures.com. If you like what I do here and you want to support more content like this, there are a bunch of rewards you can get for helping to support the channel, so head over to welcomeadventures.com to grab those for yourself. If this is your first time here and you love role-playing games as much as I do, I'd love to have you subscribe. Every week, I put out new videos on GM tips, player tips, tutorials, and more. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, just hit that subscribe button down below and come join us. Okay guys, let's give away an Elderwood Academy mini hex chest. In order to enter into this contest for your chance to win, click on a link down in the description below to enter into the Gleam contest. We're going to run this thing for at least 2 weeks, and we'll announce the winner inside of the Gleam contest page. And again, this is available for anyone, anywhere. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Cody, and may your games be filled with awesome memories and even better friends. I'll catch you guys next time.
Yeah.